I definitely saw Harvey Crumpet back in the day, and I don't know if I saw Marion Max or not. I don't know. I feel like I'm not sure if I did or not, but he kind of it's interesting because I think I didn't realize Harvey Crumpet was like 20 years ago now, and but this is your second feature since then. Um, I mean, generally, are you generally developing ideas in your head, or always working on something, or is it when inspiration strikes, you go, okay, that's the one I'm going to start working on? Because it's such a long process to make these movies, I'm sure.
Yeah, look, one film at a time, and I certainly, as soon as I finish one, I'm eager to get on to the next one. And so, yeah, at the moment, I'm writing in, trying to write in hotel rooms whilst we travel around the world promoting this one. So yeah, one at a time. I don't do anything else. I don't do ads or series or TV commercials or anything like that. I just one stop motion film at a time.
Yeah. Where did this one debut? Did it premiere at one of the festivals, a Cannes or anything, or?
Yeah, we premiered at the Annecy Animation Festival, which is the Cannes of animation,
Sure.
back in June, I think. And we won the best film award there, the Crystal for best animated feature. So we were off to a amazing start, and a whole bunch of festivals since and just a few days ago we won the entire London Film Festival, which was a
Wow.
real shock because, animation tends to not do very well when it competes against live action. So it was a real surprise to win. So we're thrilled. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. Congratulations. Was it Annecy this year or last year?
This year,
Oh,
yeah.
it was this year. Okay. Oh, so it's still fairly fresh still. Still,
Mm.
it's not like on the end of like a year and a half of trying.
No,
You know.
no. So
Yeah.
I think we've done London, Zurich, San Sebastian. Oh, Telluride, of course. I can't
Oh
forget
yeah.
Telluride. That was a great experience. So, yeah, off to a great start. Yeah.
No, that's great. So what was I mean, if you remember, what was the original inspiration? What kind of like started the idea for this one? I mean, obviously, there's really interesting characters, is amazing story and journey of the lead character. What kind of like got you rolling on this one?
Yeah, well, this one, it was so long ago. It was 8 years ago when we all started on this. And at the time, my father had just passed away, and he left behind a huge pile of stuff that my siblings and I had to trawl through and start throwing out. And I became fascinated with why do we collect things as human beings? Why do we, why do some people hoard? So I started to read a lot of books and delve into the psychology of extreme hoarding. And the more I read, the more I discovered that extreme hoarders really have suffered a lot of trauma in their lives, and more often than not, the loss of a child or a sibling or a twin. So I found that really fascinating. But at the same time, I was going over some notes I'd made about a friend of mine. I was going to make a short film about her life, and she was born with a severe cleft palate, and as a child had a lot of operations on her lip, and was bullied and teased a lot at school, but then grew up to be this very flamboyant, extroverted adult. And I thought, wow, how did she transform from this little shy girl to this confident adult? So sort of these two sort of ideas merged together, and I just started writing and rewriting, and 16 drafts, and 3 years later we ended up with Memoir of a Snail.
Oh, nice. Yeah, well, you can't see my background, but I wish I had an excuse of trauma for my hoarding, but yeah, that's all a big pile of hoarding stuff behind me. So yeah, I just collect stuff. No trauma
Well,
involved.
that's the thing. I think we're all on the hoarding spectrum, I say, and I've certainly gone through phases of I collected bad taxidermy for a long while.
Oh wow.
But it's all gone now.
So that was kind of the inspiration for some of the movie, I guess.
Yeah, look, I've always, been fascinated with just stuff I collect, and why do we attach sentimental value to things, and it's really fascinating about, and it's becoming more of a problem in modern society. We live in a capitalist society and consumerist society. And so, yeah, there's all sorts of reasons why we collect stuff.
Oh yeah. Now what about before we get to like some of the characters and the technical parts? I mean, you have this great cast providing the voices for these characters. I mean, do you record them very early on, or are they involved like later on after animation's already been done, or what's
Yeah, well, a lot of them we if the character ever has to talk and we have to do lip sync, then yes, we tend to have to get them in up front. And that's easier said than done because, all our actors are recorded in isolation. They're never in the same room as the other actors. And it's tricky to, schedule that. But if it's voiceover, then yes, we can record them later on. And we can sometimes do what's called post syncing, which is animate first and then get the actor to put the voice on top. It's very, very tricky to do, so we avoid it where possible.
What point did you find Sarah for Grace? I mean, what was she very early on or?
Yeah, she was pretty early on. I thought of all sorts of Australian actors, Kate Blanchett and Nicole Kidman and Margot Robbie, but Sarah just seemed to tick every box. She has a really beautiful natural speaking voice. The accent is not too overbearing. She has a shyness that I really liked. Yeah, she just seemed to have everything I wanted. And similarly with Cody Smith McPhee, he had a darkness and a broodiness to his voice. And Jackie Weaver, well, Jackie Weaver was always our first choice, and I mean they all were our first choices, but Jackie had to be Pinky. Jackie didn't even have to read the script, and she wanted to play Pinky immediately. So yeah, we got our dream wish list of cast members, so we're very lucky.
So I think you said you actually have a completely finished final script. I mean, you have to have it before you do any animation, I guess. I mean, doesn't it? But there's you also have to have it so you can record all the voices beforehand, right?
Yeah, we work in a very linear process, and it's very prescribed. So the script has to be completely locked off before we move on to storyboard. Then we have to lock that off, and yeah, there's not much room for improvisation, and you really it's the downside of the art form. It's not much spontaneity. We try where possible to be spontaneous, but it's really a very planned out process.
Mhm. Yeah, I forgot to mention Dominique Pignon because I'm a huge Junet fan, so I love. I didn't realize that was him until actually just now. I was looking at the cast. I was like, oh wait, that's Dominique Pignon. That's amazing.
Yeah, he was a real, it was such a thrill to get him on board. Actually, Jean-Pierre's a good friend, and I actually asked Jean-Pierre if he'd do the voice of Percy,
Oh.
but he said, no, 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 I'm not me, not me. What about what about my friend Dominic Pignon? I said, are you kidding? Of course, in a heartbeat. So, yeah, Dominic was incredible. It was such an amazing experience for me to watch him perform. Yeah.
And Nick Cave too, who's the busiest man in show business. So it's amazing you got pinned down to even record, just a little bit for his role. So
Yeah, with Nick Cave, he was, he wanted to do a voice, and what sort of, I said, no, no, I just want you to be Nick Cave. I don't want you to, so we only had him for an hour, and he was wonderful too. Yeah.
mm. It's really interesting, you know, addition to the animation genre because like you think about animation and like too many people think of animation for kids. And this is not, I mean, there's stuff which is kid friendly. There's definitely stuff which is not. I mean, I watched the Australian trailer and it starts with the hamsters having sex. I mean, that's like, you have to explain to some kids that. But yeah, but like when you're writing, I mean, you could think about that at all. Or you just making something which you think is funny and will keep you entertained for however many years it
Oh,
takes to
for
make the
sure.
movie.
I often say I write for myself, which is a very indulgent thing to do. But, my films are certainly not for little kids. They're teenagers and up. There's very challenging subject matter in there. And I mean, I've always seen animation as a medium, not a genre. But I think, we've all been brainwashed into thinking that animation is for kids. But there's a long history of adult animation coming out of Eastern Europe, Czech Republic, Estonia. And there's a lot of filmmakers now, making adult animation. You look at Wes Anderson's with Isle of Dogs and Guillermo del Toro's version of Pinocchio. There's some really dark stuff in there, and certainly not suitable for little kids. And actually, my film's rated R, so kids
Oh,
shouldn't.
is it really? Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
yeah,
Okay.
they should not be in the cinema. No.
Oh wow, I did not know that. I'm not sure how many people would realize that. I mean, is playing like here. It's playing at the IFC Center, which is I mean, it's not a big kid place, but still, I'm not sure I would have realized that. I just assumed it was like PG-13 or something. Wow. Wow. Okay.
Well, I think it's the nudity that yeah, it's probably got us that rating. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Wow. Well, I'm surprised. There's a lot of movies get R just for one F word or two F words or three F word, And it's
Yeah.
like, you know what? I don't know. It seems a bit much. But if teenagers can get in, if they let teenagers see it at least, I think they'll enjoy it.
Oh yeah, look, and I think there's some positive stuff in there for teenagers. That it deals with loneliness, it deals with bullying. So there's a lot of stuff in there that is educational, and that's the thing. All my films actually are taught in schools all around the world as
Oh,
educational devices. Yeah.
oh, nice, nice. Yeah, so as far as the process, I mean, are you like how big is your team? Are you working with traditional costume production designers? Are you creating these articulated puppets yourself or with other people
Yeah, we
or
sort of have a sort of medium-sized team, cinematographer, gaffer, all the things you have in a live action film, runners, production assistants. We had six sculptors, six set builders, six prop makers, camera department of about eight. We had seven animators, so a proper big team, but certainly not as to the scale of Aardman or Leica.
Mm,
But it was certainly, a healthy amount of people. Yeah.
mm. Well, I've been to Leica and I know that they're literally a huge sound stage with like multiple sets, different animators working on each set at each time. I mean, do you have a similar type setup down there or?
Yeah, similarly, lots of blacked out stages, lots of black curtains, and all these little animators scurrying around in the dark. But yeah, the Leica studio, I was there a couple of days ago visiting them and my friends who work there, and it's such an amazing place. It's stop motion paradise, and what Travis Knight's built there is incredible. Similarly, we went to Aardman and Pixar, and they've all, they're such fantastic places. But our studio, yeah, well, actually. Our studio doesn't even exist at the moment because once we finish a film, we pack everything up and I move on to the writing process. It's just too expensive to keep the studio going. So, yeah, we constantly expand and shrink, expand and shrink. Yeah.
Yeah. As far as the puppets, I mean, how are they? Are they? I mean, I like one thing about Leica. I mean, they use computers and technology to make it easier.
Mm.
For instance, they do a lot of the facial stuff in a computer, and then they can just 3D print the faces so they can change them. Are you using similar process, or do you have
No, we're at the other end of the spectrum. We do everything. I've got a little grace here actually. We do
Oh,
everything,
nice.
in a very much more organic fashion. So, I mean, 3D printers are wonderful machines, but we prefer to do everything much more in a traditional manner and really celebrate the clay. Clay is really our medium, rather than plastic or rubber or other things. So it's all about the plasticine for us. And so we have a much more organic, rough around the edges look. And, when you watch one of my films, it's pretty clear that what you're looking at is handmade.
Oh, definitely.
We really celebrate the lumps and bumps and the imperfections. And yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I realized it was clay because even like the Aardman movies, every once in a while we'll see a thumbprint or something in the clay, like there's something in there just from, I don't know, they just leave a lot of stuff in there.
Yeah, yeah, we like leaving the fingerprints on sometimes because it just, again, it reminds the audience that this is real, tactile, tangible. The other thing we aspire to is that every single thing you see is handmade. So even the fire is yellow cellophane, the cigarette smoke is cotton wool. There's no CGI added on top, or it's not a hybrid film. Everything is done in a traditional way. And that's just because, my team of people, we just love using our hands and making stuff.
Mm. How big are some of these sets? I mean, as far as like for instance, you have the external like of the house with the kind of graveyard. You also have a lot of the internal things. I mean,
Yeah.
how big are these sets? Are they pretty big so you can kind of get in
Some of
there
them are
and
real, yeah, some of them are really big, we're talking 5, 10 meters long, or 30 feet. Yeah, it's particularly if you're doing a wide shot, you need a massive background to get the sky in. All our skies are hand painted canvases, so we have to build these enormous canvases. Yeah, and if you're using a wide angle lens, it's even worse. They suck
Hmm.
in everything. So yeah, big stages. We had 11 stages, seven animators, 200 sets, 200 characters, and we guess between 5 and 7,000 handmade snail props.
Do you tend to do like shot lists and everything so you have so you know exactly how much you do on I mean, and do you leave the sets up for the entire production, or do you have to kind of rejigger them and change
Yeah,
them?
well, we have a whole art department who builds everything first, and then we have set dressers who bump it in, and then the lighting team who light it all, and then yes, it all has to be unpacked again and deconstructed. So yeah, it's a massive logistics nightmare at times, and we have stage managers and production assistants who handle the logistics. Lots of spreadsheets and planning. Yeah, it's a real logistics nightmare to get it all sorted.
Mm. Do you shoot any like behind the scenes stuff? I can't remember what they call it when they have the camera where they show everyone like buildings. I can't remember what they call it. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, yeah, we did a few of those where we did a time lapse of the
Time
animator
lapse. Yeah.
animating. So yeah, they're always fascinating to watch because you get a real idea for how slow it is. And each of our animators only did between 5 and 10 seconds a day, so it is very slow. But yeah, we got plenty of behind the scenes, and on our Instagram account, you can see a lot of the stuff that went on behind the scenes. Yeah.
Yeah. How long did it take? Like, what was the when did you actually start writing this one? Was it like as soon as you finished the last one that you said, or
Yeah, I had a big break after Mary Max because it was I wasn't sure whether I wanted to continue on because they are such grueling projects to make. But I got my mojo back and we started roughly around 2016. I started writing, 3 years to write, 3 years to finance, and actually the writing took longer than the making. But then COVID, of course, slowed us down, and it wasn't meant to take 8 years. It should have really only taken 3 to 5. So hopefully the next one will be quicker.
yeah. I was going to ask you whether COVID had any kind of effect on it because I mean I think it's a lot of it is one animator with the things, but I guess you have other people around. You can't really you still have to isolate and stuff.
Yeah, we all had to wear masks for the entire production, and that was a challenge, but necessary, of course. And financing too. A lot of studios and companies went broke during COVID, and so one of our investors went broke, and we had to go and find another big chunk of money. Um, so yeah, it was certainly a challenge, but I think it was the biggest challenge was that wearing masks. My job as a director is to talk about lip sync and talk to the animators about how to move the mouth. So that was very hard to do behind a mask. So it was lots of drawing of pictures. But yeah, we got there in the end.
Yeah.
And no one
Listen,
got COVID, which was great. None of us really, we didn't get any spreading of COVID in the studio. So those masks certainly helped.
that's great. Listen. The movie turned out great. I was like, I wish I had a chance to see it at one of these festivals with a lot of people. I only saw a very small press
Right.
screening because I'm sure it plays amazing. And no, congratulations, it's done. It's coming out, and thanks for taking the time to talk to me. I
Yeah.
love animation, and I love finding about how the different animators and directors work on the stuff. So
Thank you. Yeah, no, well, it is much better on the big screen because it's a comedy as well as a tragedy, and as they say, comedy is infectious. So it's a much better experience on the big screen, and also the music is beautiful music, yeah, done by our composer Elena Katz.